Welcome back, everybody. Today we're diving into a book that's, it's pretty powerful. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. I mean, have you ever thought about how people, how do they find a reason to keep going when everything's awful?
Oh, yeah.
This book,
Yeah.
it goes right into that. Frankl's talking about his time in Nazi concentration camps and what he learned about the human spirit being in a place like that.
It really is amazing what he went through. I mean, here's a psychiatrist using his own terrible experiences to develop a whole new way of thinking about therapy. He wasn't just trying to survive. He was analyzing things, thinking deeply, and finding little bits of meaning even in that darkness.
Yeah, that part about him losing his manuscript, the one he'd been working on his whole life, and the Nazis just took it, that was just heartbreaking. I would think that would crush a person.
Oh, absolutely.
But for Frankl, it was like fuel. It made him even more determined to rewrite it, to share his ideas with everyone. It makes you think about what's that thing that keeps you going? What's your driving force?
I think we all have something like that. Frankl called it the search for meaning. And he even created a whole type of therapy around it called logotherapy.
Logotherapy.
Yeah, the idea is that what really drives us as humans is that desire to find meaning in our lives.
I see. So it's not just about being happy.
No, it's deeper than that. This was actually pretty radical back then, especially going against those traditional Freudian ideas.
You mean like Freud's focus on pleasure as the main motivator?
Exactly.
So instead of chasing these fleeting moments of happiness,
It's about finding something more, something that gives our lives direction, a real purpose.
that's a big shift. But okay, how do we actually find this meaning? Frankl doesn't just leave us hanging, right?
Right. He lays out 3 specific ways to tap into meaning. He calls them wells of meaning.
Okay, tell me more about these wells.
Well, the first one is all about doing work that feels important or contributing to something bigger than yourself. It could be volunteering, like you said,
Yeah?
or maybe mastering some kind of skill, building a business. The point is to make a real difference and feel that sense of accomplishment.
Right, I get that. What about the second well?
Love.
Love.
But yeah, Frankl's not talking about the typical romantic love.
So what's he talking about then?
He sees it as self-transcendence.
Oh, what does that even mean?
It means going beyond our own needs to help other people reach their full potential.
So empowering the people around us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like giving a kid the chance to learn and grow.
Right. Or maybe helping a friend through a career change.
It's about seeing that potential in others and helping them get there. Okay, those first 2 wells make sense to me, but the third one, I'm not sure I'm following. Frankl says you can find meaning in suffering.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I mean, he's not saying we should go looking for pain, right?
Of course not.
But that even when things are hard,
Even when things are really, really hard.
yeah, there's still a chance to learn and grow from it.
Exactly.
Think about what Frankl went through himself in that camp.
I mean, yeah.
He found meaning by helping others, giving them comfort, sharing what he knew.
Even in that awful situation, his attitude, his choices, that's what made the difference.
He even says in the book, this really powerful line, everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.
Wow.
Wow, that's right.
He's saying we always have a choice.
Yeah,
Even in the worst possible times.
it's true. I think it's easy to feel powerless when things get rough, but Frankl reminds us that we always have that power to choose how we react.
He gives that great example about being on a forced march,
Mm-hmm.
freezing cold,
Right.
and he escapes in his mind by picturing himself giving a lecture in this warm, comfortable room.
I love that story.
It's about finding that inner strength, that ability to choose how we react, even when everything's falling apart around us. And that choice, that act of choosing how we think, that's where we start to find meaning, even in the middle of suffering.
That's incredible.
It really is.
It's like he's saying we can create our own world, our own mental safe space.
Exactly.
Even when the real world is just unbearable. Have you ever used your imagination like that to get through something difficult?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all have in some way.
Frankl believed that everyone has that potential.
That inner strength.
He even said that everyone has a unique life task, a special contribution that only they can make to the world. So finding that life task, that becomes our own personal search for meaning.
I think so.
It's like this huge quest
It's like a hero's journey.
to discover what our role is supposed to be.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have to be some big world-changing thing, right?
No, not at all. It could be being a good parent,
The supportive friend.
maybe sharing some skill you've learned with others.
It's about finding what makes you feel truly alive. and using that to contribute to the world in your own way.
I like that.
That makes it feel a lot less intimidating. I think a lot of people get stuck on this idea that they need to do something extraordinary to have a meaningful life. But Frankl's saying that meaning can be found in the everyday stuff.
Yes.
The small acts of kindness and service that we do for each other.
He actually uses the example of his manuscript.
Yeah.
He felt this deep need to rewrite it, to share his experiences and what he learned. That became his life task.
Yeah.
And even though we're not all going to write incredible books, we all have something special to offer.
You mentioned something special to offer. I want to go back to the idea of love as a well of meaning. Frankl had a unique perspective on love that goes beyond the typical romantic ideas. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, you're right. Frankl talks about love as self-transcendence.
Right, that word again.
It's about going past your own ego and your own needs to help others live up to their potential.
It's not just about how love makes us feel. It's about how we can use love to do good in the world.
Yes.
It's about contributing to the growth and well-being of others. It's all starting to click for me. We're driven by this need to find meaning. And that meaning can come through meaningful work, love, even suffering.
It all connects.
But it always comes back to our attitude and choices. It's about taking control of our lives.
Owning it.
Even when things are hard.
Exactly.
That's the heart of what Frankl is saying.
He went through the Holocaust, but he didn't let that define him.
He chose to find meaning, to help others.
And to share his story.
It's such a powerful example of being resilient, of finding hope and purpose even in the darkest places. But what about people who are struggling to find that meaning? What if you're feeling lost and hopeless?
Well, that's a really important question.
Yeah.
Frankl doesn't give us an easy answer or some magic formula.
No.
But he does give us a way to think about meaning.
A place to start.
Yeah, a starting point for looking for it in our lives.
So it's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Being curious and open to trying different things.
Exactly. It's about noticing those little sparks of meaning in our jobs, in our relationships, even in the tough times. It's about choosing our attitude and finding ways to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And sometimes it's about finding that quiet place inside, that inner strength that helps us keep going, even when things are tough.
You keep coming back to this inner strength. Frankl talked about that a lot, especially when it came to suffering.
They called it suffering bravely,
Recognizing the hardship.
but choosing to find meaning and purpose in it,
It's a choice we all have.
no matter what's happening around us.
This is making me think about all the ways we try to avoid feeling uncomfortable or avoid pain.
Right.
But maybe there's something to be said for leaning into those challenges,
Facing them head on.
seeing them as chances to grow and change.
I think Frankl would agree with you. He believed that suffering, when you face it with the right attitude, can actually help you grow as a person.
I think that's powerful.
It really is.
It's about finding that deeper meaning.
That purpose that goes beyond the pain.
This whole conversation is making me think about my own priorities, my own values.
It makes you think.
It's like Frankl's asking us to look at our lives and ask ourselves some tough questions. What's my unique contribution? What are my values? And am I actually living by them? How can I choose my attitude when things are hard?
Good questions.
It's like he's giving us a whole new way to look at our struggles. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks,
Obstacles.
maybe we can start seeing them as chances to grow and learn about ourselves.
I like that.
Huh.
Frankl believed that the search for meaning is a lifelong journey, and it's different for everyone.
There's no right answer.
The right answer.
No one-size-fits-all solution.
What matters is that we're on that journey, actively searching, open to what we might find.
And willing to embrace it.
That's it.
And maybe that journey itself
That's searching.
is part of the meaning.
Could be.
It's not necessarily about getting to some final answer. It's
Okay.
about the process of searching, exploring, and choosing how we want to live.
Well said. It's about embracing the challenges and the opportunities to grow. And it's about recognizing that even in the middle of suffering, we have that power to choose our attitude, to find meaning, and to live lives full of purpose.
This has been an amazing conversation. Man's Search for Meaning is a book I know I'll be coming back to think about again and again. You know, even though it comes from such a dark time in history, it's a really hopeful and inspiring book.
It really is.
I'm curious, as we wrap up, I keep thinking about this question Frankl asks. What's your life task? What's that unique contribution that only you can make?
It's a powerful question.
It is. It's something I'll definitely be thinking about. But I think that's what's so great about Frankl's work. It leaves us with these questions that make us think. these invitations to keep exploring and growing.
It's not about having all the answers. It's about embracing those questions and letting them guide us as we try to find our own meaning.
I like that. So to everyone listening, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep choosing to find meaning in your life, no matter what challenges you face.
And remember, even in the darkest times, the human spirit is incredibly strong. It can endure, it can find hope, and it can create meaning.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into man's search for meaning. We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic to explore. Until then, keep diving deep and keep looking for those little bits of wisdom that make life so rich and meaningful.
Great advice.
So it's like he's saying we can create this inner world, this mental safe space, even when the real world is just too much to handle.
Yeah.
Have you ever used your imagination like that to help you get through something tough?
Oh, absolutely.
Frankl believed everyone has that potential, that inner strength. He even said everyone has a unique life task, a special contribution that only they can make.
I remember that part.
So then finding that task,
Yeah.
that becomes our own search for meaning.
It's like this big quest
Like a hero's journey.
to figure out what our role is supposed to be.
Exactly. But it doesn't have to be something huge, something that changes the world, right?
Right. It could be being a supportive parent, a dependable friend.
Or sharing some skill you've learned.
Right. Exactly.
It's about finding what makes you come alive and then using that to give back to the world in whatever way you can.
That takes some of the pressure off.
I think people get caught up in this idea that they need to do something extraordinary to make their life meaningful. But what Frankl's saying is that meaning can be found in the everyday things.
In the small things.
The little acts of kindness and service we do for each other.
Like he said about his manuscript. He felt like he had to rewrite it
Yeah.
to share his experiences and what he learned from them. That was his life task.
Sure.
And yeah, we might not all write incredible books,
Yeah.
but we all have something to give.
You mentioned giving back to others, and I wanted to circle back to this idea of love as a well of meaning. Frankl had this whole different take on love, one that goes beyond just the romantic kind of love. Could you unpack that a little more?
Sure. Remember how we talked about self-transcendence?
Oh, right, that word.
Yeah. It's about looking beyond your own ego and your own needs. And it's about helping others reach their full potential.
So it's not just about how love makes us feel good, it's about how we can use love as a force for good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how can we contribute to the growth and well-being of other people?
Absolutely. It's about seeing that potential in others and supporting them in their journey.
Like helping a kid learn and grow.
Right. Or maybe helping a friend find a job that really fulfills them.
It's about making a positive difference in people's lives. I'm starting to see how it all fits together now. We're driven by this need to find meaning. And that meaning can come from meaningful work, love, and even suffering.
They're all connected.
But it always seems to come back to our attitude and the choices we make. It's about taking ownership of our lives,
Even when things are hard.
even when things are really hard.
That's what Frankl did. I mean, he went through the horrors of the Holocaust,
Yeah.
but he didn't let it break him.
He found a way to find meaning in it.
He helped others.
And he shared his story with the world.
It's an amazing example of resilience, of finding hope and purpose in the darkest of places.
But what about the people who are having trouble finding that meaning? What if you're feeling lost, hopeless?
That's a tough one. Frankl doesn't give us a simple solution. There's no magic formula,
I guess not.
but he does give us this framework,
A way to think about meaning.
a starting point for searching for it in our own lives.
So it's not about knowing all the answers right away. It's more about asking the right questions.
And being curious.
Open to new possibilities.
That's it. It's about noticing those little sparks of meaning in the things we do, in our relationships, even in the hard times. It's about choosing how we want to think about things and finding ways to contribute to something bigger than ourselves. And sometimes it's about finding that quiet space inside, that inner strength that helps us keep going when things are tough.
You keep mentioning this inner strength. Frankl talked a lot about that, especially when it came to the topic of suffering.
He talked about suffering bravely, acknowledging the pain.
Right. But then choosing to find meaning and purpose in it.
It's a choice we all have, no matter what our circumstances are.
This makes me think about how much we try to avoid discomfort in our lives. We try to avoid pain.
It's human nature.
But maybe there's something to be said for leaning into those challenges.
Facing them head on.
Seeing them as opportunities to grow and change.
I think Frankl would like that idea. He believed that suffering, if you approach it with the right mindset, can actually be a powerful tool for personal growth.
I can see that.
It's about finding that deeper meaning,
Mm-hmm.
that sense of purpose that transcends the pain itself.
This whole conversation is really making me reevaluate my own priorities,
Yeah.
my own values.
Yeah.
It's like Frankl is challenging us to really examine our lives and ask ourselves some tough questions. What am I contributing? What are my values? And am I really living by them? How can I make sure I'm choosing my attitude even when things are tough?
Those are good questions to ask yourself.
It's almost like he's giving us a whole new way to see our struggles. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks,
Obstacles to overcome.
maybe we can start to see them as opportunities to grow and learn about ourselves.
That's a great way to look at it. You know, Frankl believed that this search for meaning, it's a lifelong journey, and it's different for every single person.
There's no right or wrong answer.
No single solution.
It's all about the journey.
What really matters is that we're actively searching, that we're open to new possibilities, and that we're willing to embrace whatever we find.
And maybe that journey itself, the searching, is part of what gives it meaning.
I think so.
It's not always about finding the final answer. It's about the process of exploring and figuring out how we want to live.
It's about embracing the challenges and the chances to grow, and recognizing that even when things are hard, we have that power to choose our attitude, to find meaning, and to live lives full of purpose.
That's such a good way to put it. He believed that the search for meaning is this lifelong thing. It's different for each of us.
And there's no one right way to do it.
It's not about finding all the answers right away.
No, it's not.
It's more about the process. Asking questions, exploring, and then choosing how we want to live.
It's about embracing those challenges and those opportunities, and recognizing that even when we're going through tough times, we still have the power to choose our attitude, to find meaning, and live with a sense of purpose.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation. Man's Search for Meaning is a book I'll be coming back to again and again. It's amazing to me that even though this book came out of such a dark time in history, it's actually a really hopeful and inspiring book.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up, I keep coming back to that question Frankl asks. What is your life task? What's that unique contribution that only you can make?
It's a big question.
It really is. It's something I'll be thinking about for a while. But, I think that's the beauty of Frankl's work. He gives us these questions that really make us think, these invitations to keep exploring and keep growing.
It's not about having all the answers right away. It's about being okay with not knowing and letting those questions guide us.
So to everyone listening, don't stop searching. Keep exploring. And keep choosing to find that meaning in your life, no matter what you're going through.
And remember, even in the darkest times, the human spirit is capable of so much. We can endure, we can find hope, and we can create meaning.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into man's search for meaning. We'll be back next time with another fascinating topic. Until then, keep diving deep and keep looking for those pieces of wisdom that make life so rich and meaningful.
See you next time.